live, people. Let's do it.
Hi!
We're live. Woo! Bear with us. We're having camera difficulties.
Get off the gems. Go.
Are we good?
You're on an edge there. You're on an edge. Don't do it.
Hold on. We're good. Ignore the camera. We're good. We are good. Hey, camera. Hey, Chris. Move that lights. There we go.
Hello, everyone. Happy board game night.
We're gonna lock this camera down. Hold on. Let's just get Chris in there. All right. There we go. We're good. There we go.
General vicinity over here.
Okay, I am going to turn this computer around so this doesn't distract me. All right. Hey, can you see me? Oh no, my head's cut
Can
off.
you turn the computer the other way?
No, I don't want it because
We're gonna see where I need to know if I'm off.
we're in chaos mode. Hold on, I got to adjust this. Sorry. We went. We got thirsty at the last minute and we went to get a little glass of water. Yeah, we're good. That's good.
And our kitchen clock said we had an extra 3 minutes, and it didn't.
All right.
Jamie, internet for correct time.
We're good. Okay, I flipped the computer so that way I wouldn't be distracted because I have a tendency to look at the computer screen rather than you guys. So, game on. Oh, I need my notes. Hold on. We are nothing but prepared here.
We were really
We
prepared.
just finished our game.
We did.
Just finished.
We did. We just finished playing Space Explorers.
It didn't go so good for me.
It never goes good for Chris.
Well,
You went excellent for me.
I was Splendor. I was.
Shh. Spoilers. Not you. You. Spoilers. I can't.
Wait. I was like, let's go.
Don't listen. We don't listen to Chris. Okay.
Ouch. We just love me. We don't listen. We just love.
So, now, here's the thing. We're here to discuss. 1 second. I need this box. Yeah. Splendor versus Space Explorers. Okay, I got to turn this computer a little bit. 1 second. Internet. I'll be there, buddy. Hey, Mike, hang in there, Mikey. Hey, guys. All right. So, Space Explorers and Splendor. Now, Splendor has been around for a bit. First of all, let's discuss why we're here. We are here to discuss which of these two games we think are better. Oh, we have our little whiteboards. We'll get those out later. We'll do our mystery vote. Ooh. Anyways. Yeah, you get that.
I got excited.
So anyways, these two games, if you're not familiar, are very similar. You agree?
Very similar. Absolutely.
Very similar.
Absolutely.
Brittany is monitoring the chat. So if you have anything to say it. And Brittany will pick it up. And then she'll relay it. Okay, so the deal. Splendor. It's been around for a long time. It's got an expansion, which we are not taking into account here. We're just taking the base games into account. Funny enough, the expansion for Splendor is a lot more expensive than Splendor itself. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to the expansion section of the conversation. So we like to discuss, first of all, the gist. What is the gist of these games? Now, first, you probably see in front of you Space Explorers. That's because we have Splendor at the other end of the table. The camera is currently on top of Splendor. So we have all the Splendor bits is these chips. They're all there. So you can't see them. They're off camera. And then we got Space Explorers over here. Now you're probably seeing this pretty matte. That's extra, but we'll talk about that a little later. Okay, now the gist of how these games work. First, Splendor. Actually, you know what? They're so similar. We can probably do both at the same time.
Yeah.
So here's the idea. On your turn, you get, well, first of all, the board is set up with a series of cards, 6 cards for Space Explorers and 12 cards for Splendor. Now, Splendor has 3 different stacks of cards. Let me just grab these over here. These are Splendor cards. They have 3 different stacks to pull from. So, and they get more expensive as you go up the stacks because there's 3 different rows. Anyways, the way the games work, here's the similarities in them. There's cards down on the table, and everybody gets a turn. On their turn, and this goes for both games, on their turn, you get to take 1 action. Now, Common actions are you either take a card from the game. In Splendor, you can only take 3. I don't believe there's a hand limit in Space Explorers. We've never even come close to a hand limit, so but I don't believe there's a hand limit in Space Explorers. So you can take a card, or you can buy a card from either what's on the table or what's in your hand. That's the same for both. Splendor has these gems as currency. Space Explorers have these specialties as currency. Each game also has, if you buy, say, this card, which I think they're called development cards in Splendor. So, like, you get this card and you get a gem. In Space Explorers, you get this, I think that's a tester. You get this green symbol here, which represents their class. It's the same thing. That's the currency. As you can see, even though the symbols don't look the same, green is green, basically. But it works a little different because this is literally a blue gem. So if you've played this card by paying this cost in this game, that is the cost. So in Space Explorers, that's the cost. In Splendor, that's the cost. So if you have these cards in front of you, this is literally just one. It's worth 1 blue gem all the time. For Space Explorers, it's a little different because that isn't technically a green one. What it is a discount on any other. I think, again, that class is, they're the testers. No, they're testers. Engineers are blue.
Okay.
So the testers, if you were to go recruit another tester, here's another tester, then if you had one tester already in play, you would reduce the cost. See this little arrow at the bottom? I don't know if you can make that out. You would reduce the cost starting from the bottom, which is important, by 1 because you already have one tester, so you'd reduce the cost by 1. So that means for this tester, you'd only have to pay this 1 gear icon. And that's another token, which I don't currently have present. I think Brittany took them all. So there you go. So you have to pay these things. So that's very similar. So so as you get these cards, as you recruit cards, because, here's a difference. In Space Explorers, you start with a certain amount of currency. Everybody starts with the same amount of currency. And you can spend a card, because everybody starts with currency and 1 card. You can basically sacrifice a card, put it into the middle for somebody else to take if they want, and you can get 2 of any currency. Or you can spend your currency to pick up any of the cards that you can afford. In Splendor, you start with no cards, right? You start with no cards. So, but you can't spend your cards in Splendor like you can in Space Explorers. But in Splendor, you can take currency as an action. So you can spend your turn and take like 3, or you can take 3 tokens of different colors, or you can take 2 tokens of the same color, or you can take a card and kind of reserve it into your hand, and then you take one of these gold chips, which is like a wild card or a wild currency. Because as I mentioned, all the currencies have very specific requirements. Like this one requires you to see a whole bunch of like white, green, red, and black. The equivalent to that here would be something like this one is a good example, which needs green, blue, and red. So there's a lot of similarities in this game. In Splendor, there's also these nobles. And in Splendor, if you have enough of these symbols for blue and for green represented on your cards, you have to take these nobles. Now, in the rulebook for Space Explorers, there's a similar thing. Instead of nobles, we have these projects. And the projects are all some sort of satellite. Like I got Sputnik because this is a representation of like Russia in the space race. So I got Sputnik. So instead of Splendor has nobles, and Space Explorers has satellites and projects. So similar deal, except you don't have to take these. According to the rule book, it says you may take them. So we've been playing that. If you don't notice, you don't get it. Fair is fair. But in Splendor, we would probably go back and be like, you had that. That's good. What else am I missing? The way Splendor ends is the first player to 15 points that triggers the final round. In Space Explorers, it's got two end conditions. Either you finish all of the projects available, these satellites, or the first player, if any of us, the three of us, have 12 of these specialists in our hub, which is represented by this. We hold our cards under these. If we have 12 of those, that also triggers the end of the game. That's how actually our game just ended. Was Brittany? It was me.
With you.
I triggered the end of the game, but Brittany won.
Yeah.
She was doing really well. So I might as well trigger the end of the game because if I didn't, she would have just beat me by more. Right
That's
now,
true.
as it is, she only beat me by 2.
4.
No, 3.
Whoa.
29 by 20, 29, 26.
Right. Yeah, both
3 points.
Fine.
Math is not our
I'm not an accountant.
whatever. Anyways, so that is the gist of the games. But now, one thing that I think kind of covers both games, except for there's one additional thing in Space Explorers, which is Space Explorers, other than having just like resources that you can use, has these special abilities, right?
I thought it was going to
And these special abilities, as you can see them at the bottom, because in Space Explorers, if you get a currency, where in Splendor they're shown at the top, like that diamond there, so you always have that diamond, is you'll get these little symbols at the bottom. So if this guy is visible, you'll always have him. But you also have all these special abilities. Now, all these little icons, this iconography over here, might seem confusing at first, but actually they do a really good job of explaining it, and everybody gets one of these reference cards, which is super easy to follow and super easy to understand. So cards have special abilities that either make cards cheaper, allow you to get cards for free, allow you to get extra points.
All kinds of different
Special abilities, which is really neat. So that's the big difference between those two.
And the currency flow.
Oh, the currency flow, yes. Also, there's like a bank system in Splendor where there's like a certain pool of currency, gems, and gold, which all the players pull from. And you can earn, you put back in the bank, you take it out, and you put back in the bank. But in Space Explorers, it's a closed economy. So basically, this is really awesome. We'll cover that in the gameplay section. Is when I spend something, I don't give it to the bank. I give it to Chris because he's the player on my left. That's super cool. That is a really cool mechanic. And then Chris spends it, he gives it to Brittany. And then Brittany spends it, she gives it to me. So it's cool because you don't want to spend too much because you don't want to give the other person the money to spend. So you want to try to use your card's abilities and your card's resources to buy other cards if you can, when you can. That's really cool. We should get into gameplay when we get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we should say that for gameplay.
You're just having different ways to play. So
So I'm going to put these boxes away for now. There you go. So that's the gist of the game. This isn't a how to play. And I don't believe from this you learn how to play anything. I don't know how this chick got here. There you go. I'll have to review the video.
So I think this is a great time to kind of bring in a little bit of the conversation that's going on online.
What is the conversation? What do you guys got?
So Melissa is lovely. Thank you, Melissa, for your kind words.
Thank you,
She
Melissa.
said, "This is a great channel and you seem to really enjoy board games. It's nice seeing other people who love gaming. How
Thank
many
you.
games do you own in total?" We own just about 300.
Oh, you know what? I don't think we own 300.
I don't know if we're that.
No, I don't think we have
track,
300.
though. We have a lot.
Now, we do have a lot. We have, regardless of what the number is, we have more than 100. We have more than 100 for sure. Because our collecting of games really picked up in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Before then, the rule was, before we started Board Game Coffee, the rule was we play a game before we buy a game. I remember even having this conversation being like, why would you buy another game before you finish the game? Well, that's a different story now. We buy tons of games we've never played. But we want to. We so want to.
And we found Space Explorers at Origins. That's how we got introduced to Space Explorers.
No, it's Kickstarter. It was a Kickstarter.
But that's right.
I picked it up at
We
Origins.
picked it up at Origins,
Yeah.
but we had Kickstarted it. That's right.
That's right.
My gosh, we kickstart so many games.
Yeah, we do. We
don't
kickstart a lot of
remember
games.
it.
I forget.
Yeah.
Like there's a game. I already forgot the title of it. We have a game coming in from Kickstarter. I can't remember what it is. And I was looking through my list of like what Kickstarters are we waiting for, and I saw it. And I was like, I completely forgot what this game even is. But one thing we should tell you, Melissa, is Splendor.
Splendor we actually borrowed.
That's not even ours. We borrowed Splendor. And you know what thing is? We do have a lot of board gaming friends.
We have to think who we borrowed.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
So
Yes,
I do.
Yes.
We borrowed this. We borrowed Splendor from the Celtic Goldsmith.
Yes.
Now he's got a channel. I believe it's called the Celtic Goldsmith. That's our friend Jason Belchamber. Now he makes rings, and you can buy them online.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's interesting that our jewelsmith friend is the one that introduced us to Splendor, the game about jewel smithing. So that was pretty cool. So that's why he's got it. It's funny, actually, on his site. I don't know if you guys know this. Well, you guys probably don't know this, but he recreated a bunch of the cards with people on it with him in his studio, like in his.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it was like him carving gems and stuff like that.
Oh, that's neat.
So, anyways, if you're interested I think his channel teaches you how to draw Celtic knots because that's his big thing. I usually have his ring on, but I do not know.
I just thought it's pretty so where are your rings, guys?
Well,
Now
we're
it's
not
time
wearing
to
it.
start.
Our wedding
Our
rings
wedding
were
rings were
our wedding
made.
rings
Fail,
were also
guys.
made by the guy
Fail.
who lent us this game.
Yes.
But no, I had to shower, and that's why I took my rings off. Left them in the bathroom. I don't know what Brittany's excuse is.
I just took them off.
Yeah,
She
Brittany's
had taken-
single. All right,
Okay, back to gameplay.
back to game. Okay, so now I got my notes here. So if you guys see me looking at the corner, it's because the notes. All right. So first thing we're gonna compare. Now these two games are very similar. We all agree.
Very
Very
similar.
similar.
Absolutely.
Very similar. We just finished playing 2 rounds. Now I won the game with Splendor
By the hair of your chin.
by 2
There's-
points,
Only because
One
it was my
card
first time
away.
playing. Just saying.
and then Brittany won Space Explorers by 3 points. So we're tight. Chris wasn't even close, so we're not getting.
Splendor, I was right there. I had it.
Yeah.
You stole it from me.
Anyways, so that's how tonight's gaming has gone so far. So let's talk about. First of all, actually, before we go,
You're a
there,
big meanie pooper head. Yes.
if you're gonna insult me, Chris, do it loud enough so the audience can hear you. So, first of all, the purpose of this is to be like, do you want to buy one of these games? Because they're both good games. I'm gonna say that they're both good games.
Mhm.
Yep.
Do you want both? Do you need both? If you have one, do you need the other? This is what we're hoping to answer by the end of this episode. And this is live. So let's do this.
Mhm.
First, we're going to go into components. Let's discuss the cards and the art. Christopher.
First thing we discuss is the fact that these you don't normally get in the set, correct? You got
Correct. When I went to Origins and I picked this up, I was able to upgrade to these little wooden bits. Now, these are really thick and they're really nice. They're light wood, but they're really nice. I really like these. And I also got this play mat that you see in front of you.
Which is really nice.
So the play mat and these are bonuses I paid extra for. Now, normally these are just cardboard, like these things. So there's still a nice thick cardboard, not like a flimsy piece of paper. There's still a nice thick cardboard, but I upgraded for the little piece of wood because I saw them and as soon as I picked them up, I was like, oh, it feels so nice.
They do. I really
They do.
enjoy it.
They're lightweight, but they're nice to grab because they're so chunky, right?
Mhm.
And I like that.
It feels like the chips,
like
like
the
you're
weight.
here, like you're on the
I like-
poker table.
I
and you're just
like that.
Yeah.
I like that noise. Just that noise.
Yeah.
Hold on. I like that.
Yes.
So
you
when
won't
we're talking components, we're going to talk about the basic what you would get, the cardboard ones, these, and no mat. No mat. The mat is not going to come in the conversation. Oh, the mat's really nice. So if you get an opportunity, get the mat. Okay, components. Chris, go. Let's focus on. I'm gonna help you focus, Chris.
Yeah. Okay.
The card and the art. The cards and the art.
They both have interesting art. I do enjoy the art of Splenda. There's something about
Splendor.
Splendor.
Splenda.
Splenda is what you put in your coffee.
I
A board game coffee.
It's not my fault. But I enjoy the fact that it's the artwork in here is really amazing. And I don't know if you can show the fact that they zoom out or zoom in, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, the cards are
it's
like
very simple.
you get one piece of art and then they zoom in on the cards. So that's the same piece of art.
Yeah.
And they do it for everything. So there's one piece for every set. And there's more than just two. Like if you look at the scientist, I don't have her in between. Oh, here you go. I got it here. So there's level 1. Then you zoom in. And then you zoom even more. And every card is like that. They all have these 3 levels of zoom.
Yeah. And it's so well done. I find you just kind of get caught up in it with this game.
You know what? The artwork is in a lot of games, like in Marvel Legendary, and we brought this up last one.
Yeah.
They have repeated artwork, and it seems kind of cheap and lazy type of thing. And it's not the greatest artwork. It's not as good as the DC stuff, but it's unique. Anyways. But they all have they repeat a lot of the artwork. Mm-hmm. And it's
Yeah.
But they repeat a lot of artwork that's kind of meh. These guys repeat artwork that is excellent.
Yeah.
The artwork on the cards for Space Explorers is excellent. I do not mind that it's just one piece of artwork and they're zooming in.
The funny thing is the first couple times we played this, I didn't even notice that because to me, it was just really good artwork.
It's amazing.
And I think
artwork.
it's the fact that it zooms in on it and crops the image in a different way that you feel like it's different, even though it's the exact same image. So kudos to you, whoever designed the cards.
The artwork is amazing. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. No.
The color palette really brings you in.
It feels very much like you're in the
1950s.
What is it, the 50s? Where the space race?
50s.
And
50s, 60s? No, it'd be 60s.
No.
Because 69 was they went on
60s? I don't remember.
You're asking me about ages and dates? Not gonna happen.
Chris just wheeled away.
Yes.
He just wheeled.
I'm trying to grab cards for Splendor to show you some different.
You could have just asked me. I'm right here.
You're talking. You're busy. Do your thing.
So the artwork, the difference you got here is this is Splendor, and that is Space Explorers. Now, Splendor has, I think Splendor definitely has more unique artwork because they have characters. They have your cities, and they have your basic, I don't know what that is, a dock or a swing, whatever that is. I can't make it out. I don't know what that is. Some sort of farm equipment. But they have these levels. Level 1 is all these they have mine shafts. Mine shafts and stuff like that. Level 2 is all the specialists that make the gems. Level 3 is all the cities. Yeah, it's all the cities and locations. And then you have the noble cards, which have these fancy people on them. Now there's a lot more artwork on these. Oh, yes. And they have all the artwork on the gems, right? And then the artwork on this is just 2 of them. There's more currency. I just don't have them all present. There's 5 of these. It's they took a more stylized approach to it, but the color palette and everything is very much in the style of the era that they are trying to represent.
Even the cards.
Everything here, it's funny because the way we set it up is we were at one side of the table, right? With Splendor. And it was all super bright colors and bright chips. And then we came over here and it literally seemed like we jumped back in time. The colors.
Yeah. It was weird adjusting to it. You're absolutely right.
Even the whites aren't white. The whites are that off-colored cream.
Yeah.
It's been sitting a while.
Yeah, I think Space Explorers, as far as the art goes on the cards, or the aesthetic of the game in general, nailed the time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It feels like you're playing an old game.
It does.
They did it.
I feel like you went up to the attic, grab that box, and just let's do this.
It's really cool. Even the stylized icons in here, I like. Mm-hmm. Brittany, what do you think of the card? We're talking about cards and art in general.
Well, I think I already mentioned what about the cards and
Okay.
me liking. Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add on to
But
what
I
you
did-
guys have said.
I didn't get to add on the fact that I do enjoy the cards of Splendor. Like the artwork is really nice.
I
Like,
think-
but I
It's
finally
good
got
artwork.
lost. I was always looking at the gems. What am I getting?
In Splendor, that's actually a good point. In Splendor, I was more focused on what
So
is the
nice
cost?
artwork.
What am I getting from this? So I'm getting these gems, and this is how much it cost me to get them.
That's so interesting. I looked at all of the images.
That's why I had to wheel around. Like, wait a second. I
And
know
I-
I saw some great artwork, and so I was like, wait, I got to wheel around, grab that, so I can actually see it again. It's like it was there, but I just got so focused on the gems.
And maybe that's because it was my first time playing it.
Oh yeah, here's the thing. Me and Chris have played Splendor before,
I have
and
not.
all of us played Space Explorers at the same time. We actually played at Origins as soon as we got a hand. We
Yeah.
played at the bar.
Yeah.
But Brittany never played Splendor, so this was Brittany's first experience with Splendor.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we've played Space Explorers, all three of us, more than we have Splendor.
Yeah.
Me and Chris played it a few times.
Yeah.
With Jason, who lent us the game. He taught us. He taught us one thing correctly. Jay, if you're listening, you taught us one rule wrong. We'll explain it later. It was a neat little thing, but it's not written in the rule book anyways. You made that up, but that's okay. And I like these little things, like everything. As far as if we were to go aesthetics wise, who would you give it to? If you had to give it, who would you give the aesthetics?
I always have a hard time comparing because they're so different.
You know what? Let's not vote yet. I have another component question here. Hold on.
Maybe it's theme.
Hold on.
I think with Splendor, it would have been. I think if they actually had gems versus the actual chips.
Yeah, that's my next question.
That would be very cool.
So components. Before we go into, you have to pick one. What do you think of the extra bits? Everything other than the cards. Like we have these. Well, normally these would be cardboard bits. So you have these cardboard bits, which match the cardboard bits of the nobles.
Yeah,
But then you get these poker chips.
I like the poker chips.
I'm not too crazy about the art on the poker chips.
I like the way they feel. I like
I
the sound they make when you put it on the table.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like you've gotten money.
I do like the poker, but the
Right.
art on it.
I can see it. But for me, because I love stones and gems and stuff, so for me, I'd rather have a gem or stone. Because that's kind of more my thing. I would rather have that.
They're hard to stack for game, but I guess you be piles.
Absolutely, they would be.
Okay.
But I can see the piles. For me, like when we play Keyforge, we have the Amber. I love it. I just love those stones. That's
So, Britt, as far as the bits,
I like the chips.
you like the chips.
I do like the
Okay.
chips.
So,
But I like the upgrade on this. Like I like that.
so for me, as far as these little bits go, I do like the chips better. I don't like the art on the chips.
Yeah.
I like the art on the cards, just fine. They're fine. But the art on the chips seems kind of like it's just pretty basic. It's a diamond against a beige background. But the chips,
what other art?
I don't know. Their artists will impress you. If you ask an artist to make something look awesome, they'll make it look awesome. But they feel nice. Doing this feels nice.
Yeah.
I prefer this over a bunch of little of these. But if you're comparing the upgrade items, I prefer these over these.
Yeah.
So as far as upgrade, I prefer the upgrade items. But as far as what you're going to get in the base box, I do prefer Splendor. So that's an interesting split on the vote. I think we all agree, right? We prefer these bits, but these bits are extra.
Yeah.
So if they're available, get these. They're nice. But they don't really change the gameplay. But I do like playing with them. Okay.
It's
So
kind of
now,
more like this is like a classic set that you have. You just want to have that whole kit and caboodle.
so if you guys had to pick, now you have to pick. That's our component.
Between what like the looks.
Yeah, looks the aesthetics and the components of the games. Because you also get these, which are everybody's little hub, which they connect together like a little puzzle in Space Explorers.
So we're not picking on gameplay. It's just
Just-
We're just doing the components.
I love the colors in Splendor. I like how bright it is. I like how clean the art is. I do really like the style. But I find when I play Space Explorers, once we're about 5 minutes into it, I'm completely consumed by the theme. So if I had to choose between the two based on that alone, I would say Space Explorers consumes you. And I think it's because of the little details of there's no white. It's all cream. It feels like it's old. It feels like old paper. It feels like we found this up in the attic. And I like that.
Chris?
I'd agree with that. Yes, it does. It hooks me in. Like I said, with Splendor, I almost missed the artwork because I was so focused on the gems and getting gems that I wanted. But then when I looked at it, I love it.
It's nice art.
But Space Explorers does kind of pull you in. It gets you that old feel, and you just kind of get sucked into it that way.
Now, for me, as far as like the artwork, I feel like in other games, like as far as Splendor goes, I feel like I've been there, done that. You know, like there's a lot of games that use this, like, I don't know, it's
Similar styles.
different, like this era of imagery and art, right? Like I don't see a lot of games where they focus on like the space race between the Russians and the Americans, right? Like it's. I like this style. It's like 50s, 60s type of like art style. I dig it. So my vote goes Space Explorer. I think it's unanimous as far as components and aesthetic.
Yeah,
Space Explorers. Okay, let's go to the next. Do we have any questions? If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask, even if they're off topic. If you get inspired, let us know.
Or if you played these games, any comments?
Yeah, if you have comments
feel free to
on
comment
how
all.
you played. So I did ask that question, and we do have a couple people who have mentioned that they've played the games before. So I guess the question to you, if you've played the games, is if you've played both of them, what do you think? Do you think one has a better theme than the other, or?
So everyone's liking the games that they've played, though? Everyone's liking them?
They haven't mentioned if they liked it. They just mentioned that they played it.
Well, I don't
Because I think that they're waiting to hear.
So far, I don't think there's a wrong decision. Like,
No, there
there's
isn't.
two good
No, they're
games
still
here
really good.
so far. But but the end of this, we will all decide on one. Will we all agree? We haven't agreed yet.
No.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so Melissa, thank you, Melissa. You're too kind. So Melissa mentioned she just wanted to say, now that you've asked that question, Mark did an amazing job with the how-to for Batman Gotham City Chronicles. Helped to understand the massive amount of rules. Oh,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank
You know,
you.
that
Thanks
was
for the feedback.
the
That was
rea-
a big project.
We have an FAQ, and the reason we did that FAQ was because I read the rule book and I was like, people are going to have questions about this. So I took it upon myself to reach out to the designers at Monolith, who are super
Amazing.
like.
Oh, wow.
Don't you get me wrong. Monolith understands that their rule book is not the greatest. They for Batman, they get it because they put out Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia was all right, other than some translation issues, like the very minimal.
Yeah,
it was great. I understood Claustrophobia.
Such an awesome
Batman, Claustrophobia was awesome. Awesome. Claustrophobia was awesome. Anyways,
But they were awesome to work with.
But they were awesome to
with
work
all
with.
the
They totally
questions.
understand it, and they were totally. And you know, it's actually because of that FAQ that we have all those Batman copies to give away.
Yep.
And we're still going to give one away. I know we've said that's going to happen soon, and it is. We just got to wait. There's something we're waiting for. We can't say, but we're waiting, and we're giving another Batman away. But that's what we're here to talk about.
Me too.
We're not here to talk about that. Okay, so that is components. And now I'm looking at theme. We've discussed theme. Okay, now let's jump into. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's dive a little deeper into the theme.
Okay.
Because the theme of Splendor, I guess, the theme of Splendor is, it seems like you're gem merchants. The fact that I don't know for sure, like I did read the story in the rule,
Okay.
but I don't remember it. Like I played this and I was like, I guess I'm a gem merchant and I'm making gems because there's like mines and I'm getting the materials to make the gems and I'm selling them to these people and attracting nobles, and like that's what I'm guessing from it. But I don't really feel that as much as I do when I'm playing Space Explorers. I feel more that, I'm recruiting these scientists, I'm recruiting these things, like that's me. But that's also, you know why? It's because in Space Explorers, cards have special abilities, right? There's no special abilities in Splendor. So when I play special ability, I'm like, oh, my tester has a special ability. My engineer has a special ability, right? So that's how I look at it. I don't look at it this card. I'm like, this scientist has a special ability. That's how I look at it. So I get sucked more into the theme, but not so drastically.
Mhm.
Like I get it. I get the theme of the gyms. I understand. I'm not 100% sucked into either, but I'm more buy into the theme of Space Explorers. But that's a lot because of the aesthetic. Because this aesthetic is something I understand, right? Like I understand what the 50s are represented as far as like Hollywood and movies and how that's represented. So I get that. So I can get sucked into there. This is very Hollywood, but it's also very typical. So it's so the
Would you
art
say it's more
style
of like a numbers game doing that?
Splendor. No, I don't say it's a numbers game. I'd say it's this theme for Splendor has been so overdone.
Hmm.
But here we go. Like we got one thing we got to mention is Splendor is a much older game.
Yeah.
Space Explorers came out like this year. So Splendor is a much older game. So I don't know how much that comes into play because we only started playing Splendor recently. All of us only played Splendor this year. And then we played it again tonight, so Brittany can get in the conversation. But anyways, as far as theme goes, that's my see. I like the theme of the space race more than I'm interested in the jewel crafting.
Mhm.
Like Jason, who lent us, that's his trade. He makes rings, he crafts jewels, like that's his thing. So I get
Just
that.
not playing the game apparently.
No, yeah, he sucks.
Kicked his butt.
In
I beat
reality,
him. That's the
he's great.
Yeah.
As far as Splendor goes,
They're only saying that because he's not here to defend himself.
He-
Jay, I got you.
Jay, are you watching? If you're not, well, then you deserve to lose.
Even I beat you. That's not good.
Oh.
Chris beats no one. Okay, so that's theme. Anybody else have any comments on theme?
No, there's some comments on gameplay, but we're gonna save that for the gameplay time.
Well, bam! Gameplay time. We're in
Perfect.
gameplay time. Let's do this. What?
Just in time.
Well, also with this theme is
Oh.
I found definitely numbers game there. A little bit more strategy here. Because I found it was just the numbers trying to get so many this, so many that, try to get this, try to get that.
Okay, so you thought
Here
it's
was
more of a
the-
numbers game and there's more
Yes.
strategy.
Yes, because now you've got the cards in play. This card does this card does that. So
Oh, yeah, and we're gonna get into this gameplay, but
yeah,
this
what I would say
card,
with the theme-
this is awesome.
Yeah.
This
It's a little overwhelming, intimidating at first,
But this is a reference card that everybody gets
but yeah, it's awesome.
for all the abilities, and it's so easy to follow.
Yeah.
And everybody gets one, so it's great. You can just glance. You don't have to go to the rule book. It's like, what does this icon mean? What does this icon mean? Everybody's got one of these, and you know exactly what everything means.
Mhm.
Now, we're going to get into gameplay right now. Now, before we get started into the conversation gameplay, one thing I want to mention, and I think I'm the only one that can speak to this because I'm the only one that read the rules. And I read the rules at Origins in a bar. And I said this then.
Yep.
I said this that I read the rules and I was like, these are some of the best written rules I've ever read. I have no questions. And if I did, they answered them like in the later half of the book. It's so clean. Like they nailed it. Like it's the Space Explorer, the rules for Space Explorers was clean. And I read it and I was like, I understand this game completely. If I had a question, I was like, oh, it's in the book. Oh, here it is. This is probably might be the only game that I've never gone to BGG to
Wow.
find an answer for something. Like the rule book, which is where's it? This thing is amazing. It's got to be one of the best written rule books I've ever seen. Like there's references for everything. Like they have details. In the corner of the cards, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't see it. But there's these little numbers in the corner of the cards. And they're reference numbers, so you can be like, oh, what is that card? But you don't even need that because there's like 2-3 different ways to reference that card. But it's also not in the way where they're like giving you too much information. It's so clean, it's so well organized, it's so easy to find any answers. I read the rules, I was like, I get it. I have any questions? The book had it, the answers. It was great. There was one thing in Splendor, I can't remember exactly what it was, but the way it was worded, I was like, I could interpret this 2 different ways, and I checked BGG. But even then, Splendor was pretty simple. That's it. So now Splendor is just
That's
2
my
pages.
kind of rules. That's something that I kind of deal with.
We're going to get into that for a second. So Brittany, open that can of worms.
No.
So this is Splendor's
Oh,
rules.
it's odd.
Splendor's rules is like one page folded in half. It's great. This, though, although it looks heftier, it's just as easy to follow. It's so well written. So both games, the rule books are pretty easy to follow. But this one, if you have any thing is, Splendor, there's less the question. There's more questions in this, but they answer it in here. They do a great job with the rule book. And now, I didn't want to mention this. Well, it wasn't even on the topic. It's not on the agenda. But since Brittany
It's happening
Brittany brought it up,
now.
I'm going to tell you a little story before we continue. This is off topic.
No.
Yeah, I'll make it short. So, we're going to learn photosynthesis. Yeah, we're going to learn photosynthesis. Now, let me get it straight. Brittany's great at games. She is. She's competitive. She gets in there. She gets in the game. When she knows the game, she tries to win. I like that. But as far as reading rules,
I'm terrible.
not so good. So,
No bueno.
no.
You can't talk at all.
I've learned it many of the games though.
Have you?
We'll cover that one later. We'll cover that one in a second. So,
Still not as
here's the deal. Here's a little story. So,
Whether it's right or wrong.
we're learning photosynthesis, right? Brittany, you stop me when I'm wrong. We're learning photosynthesis. And when I say we learning, I was like, Brittany, I got stuff to do for Board Game Coffee. I'm going to give you this rule book. It's a thin rule book.
It was
First,
only 2 pages.
it's like 2 or 3, 4 pages. It's
2 pages.
It's not much. Right? I brought it upstairs and I was like, Brittany, could you read this? You learn how to play this game. It's super easy. I got to do some stuff downstairs in the studio. I'll be back. I come back 1 hour later. 1 hour later. And Brittany's like madly, randomly flipping through the book. You know how to play? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm good. So, we actually, no. First, at this point, she said no. She said, no, you haven't given me enough time. And I said, I'm giving you an hour to read like 2 pages or whatever. It's not much. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you another half hour. I have some stuff to finish up on, and then we'll play. She's like, okay. So I come up half an hour later. Brittany's like, so we're sitting down. And I was like, all right, okay, so how do we set up? And she's like, okay, we set up like this. I was like, excellent. So how do you win? I don't think it says. What do you mean you don't think it says? How do you score points? She flips through the book. I don't think it says. What? There's no way. I don't think it says fits. So I look at the rule book. I was like, you know what? Just scatter. It was her and her brother at the time. And I was like, just give me this book for a second. 10 minutes later, I learned how to play photosynthesis. And we sat down and we played.
In my defense, I'm not a game designer like you.
That's not defense. Most game players aren't game designers. That's no defense. It's not a defense. Now, Brittany's shot at Chris.
I'm definitely not a game designer. How many games have I taught you guys?
Now, hold on. Chris.
Not right, though.
Hold on.
You've taught us every game wrong.
No. I've taught you at least 6 games. And
90% right. That counts.
The 2 big ones.
So now we're not going to go into
Minor.
details. Now, Chris, we give Chris some games to learn. Chris, your job is to learn like Gaia Project. Your guys,
Yeah, that was my first game. By the way, people, first game they got me to learn Gaia
If
Project.
you don't know what Gaia Project
And I didn't
is, go
even
look it up.
And I barely played board games.
It is like
That
a
was my
4-hour game.
anyways, Chris learns it.
start.
And there's the main thing, the Gaia Project. Because I was like, Chris, the way the Gaia projects don't make sense. Are you sure this is the way it works? Yeah, that's the way it works. All right, this doesn't make any sense. But okay,
Why is the game called Gaia
I
Project?
trust you. I trust you. The game's called Gaia Project, but an actual Gaia Project is difficult. It's difficult, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I did some investigating myself. I was like, Chris.
It was the.
Hold on, I was like, Chris, is this how a Gaia Project works? Like I explained to him. He's like, well, hold on. I think I saw a card that said that. Because it was a reprint card that came, and I was like, you son of a, you know what I mean? I was like, so we were playing Gaia Project, and I was like trying to get the Gaia Project, because that's what the game's called. And I was doing it wrong the whole time because Chris taught me wrong. But you know what? We still beat him.
Not for the first while.
No, not while he was.
That's the first game when
The
you
first-
taught us wrong.
First 3 to 4 games.
Anyways, that's in the past.
Yeah.
That's in the past. We'll bring it up again, but right for now it's in the past.
Well,
So
definitely.
that was it. So anyways, I don't know how we got into the rules.
If you hear the bells, it's our dog Hitch. I'm removing his
Collar.
collar now.
Okay, so let's get into gameplay. should we get into gameplay first or should we answer the questions first?
Well, it's not really a question. It was more of a statement.
Good
So
stuff.
Roy reached out and he said, Splendor is much easier to bring new gamers into, but I love the theme and gameplay much better than Space Explorers.
Okay, I agree. If you're bringing new players in,
Splendor is the way to go.
Splendor's the way to go. But although I feel Splendor is like, there's this simple mechanic in Splendor, like,
There's still a lot of
which is
strategy.
like take a card, buy a card, buy a card. Well, like there is, but I feel on the surface that's the initial thing you'd reach out for, right?
Mhm.
But if you once you have more experience, then you're looking at what other people's resources are, and then you're trying to block them by
Steal
like,
cards.
I'm gonna take this card, I'm gonna reserve it so I can get it myself, or to keep them from doing it.
I did that to you and then may have screwed myself.
Yeah,
over.
Brittany was stealing cards that I had no interest in, but she thought I had interest in, so she just filled up her hand. Because in Splendor, you can only hold 3 cards in your hand and reserve.
Yeah, so I grabbed this card and I had no gems to fill it, and then I was gemless. It was awful.
So Brittany only screwed herself, but that's okay. I didn't even realize she was doing it. She never took a card I wanted. It was okay. Anyway, so let's get into our gameplay conversation. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready?
Yes.
In the conversation. Okay, I'm checking my notes. The learning. Chris, go.
Splendor is like you said, like everyone said here, it's so much easier to learn, very quick, very easy to pick up. But at the same time, this cheat sheet for Space Explorers makes it so easy. It is definitely more complex because you get those cards where like, what's going on here? There's a lot of corners to turn when you're, because of the fact how you stack your cards, that you cover up some of those abilities and it becomes a different ability. That makes it a challenge.
Well, that's a big difference between Splendor and Space Explorers. Is as you get Splendor and you stack cards. Like I stack these 2 cards, I got 2 diamonds, right? But in Space Explorers, what you stack cards. So if this was Splendor, you would stack like this, and then you have these 2 resources. But Space Explorers, you don't. You stack like, actually you wouldn't because these are 2 different races, but pretend that's red. When you stack a card on top of another card, it overwrites what's on the bottom. Mind you, you can't stack these cards, but you can stack these cards because they're the same. You can tell by the artwork, which is the same. So once you stack a card on the card, you're not increasing your abilities, you're changing your abilities.
Yes.
So you got to be careful how you do that.
Yes, I found myself, I had a really good ability, and then all of a sudden cover up. I'm like, darn, now I'm messed up because now all of a sudden I can't do what I want to do, and I'm falling behind. Whereas you guys were really building on those abilities. That's a huge learning curve or kind of a skill set to try to get to understand with this game. It's a lot more complex that way.
Mhm.
Where Splendor's very simple, like almost like a set, kind of a numbers game. You know, trying to build your numbers up and get through it. So definitely a lot easier gameplay with
Yeah,
Splendor.
I feel like it's faster to build your engine in Splendor.
We're just talking about the learning. Learning. Which one do you think? Do you think they're
I would say Splendor.
Splendor is easy to learn for sure.
Yeah. But there's no issue with this because they made it so easy. It's complex.
I do think Space Explorers is easy if you play a lot of board games. For someone who does not know board games and board game mechanics as well as someone who plays it, this game would be very overwhelming.
I'll give you, as an entry-level game, Splendor is probably a better entry-level game than Space Base. I'll give you that, sure. As far as learning, though, for people who have played board games,
It's fun.
Splendor is easier, but Space Explorers is so well taught or written, it's not difficult. Like, there's some referencing to do, but the card is easy enough to follow. And how we played is when we bring out a new card, and we've trashed this board, by the way, since. But when we bring out a new card, if there's an ability on it, we're like, okay, what does that ability do? And then we'll just read it out. We're like, that's what that ability does, so everybody knows. And that's it. We'll just reference the card so everybody knows what's going on. But eventually, you get to learn the iconology of it. So you recognize icons. Like, okay, that icon lets me get a wild symbol or whatever.
Mhm.
So there's more. I'd say there's more to learn as Space Explorers.
Yes.
It's not harder to learn. There's just
more
more
to
to
learn.
learn.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah,
I would
for
say.
sure.
Yeah, so I think Splendor would be more for like an all ages. I think this would be for maybe if you have like a younger child who's interested in board games, they could play
There's
this
more-
if they played board
There's
games.
more. I'd
but
say
it's
there's
easier.
more like your traditional like, or your I guess hobbyist board game mechanics. There's more different mechanics here,
You're right.
right?
Which makes the game very interesting.
Yeah, it adds a whole level of strategy to it. That's like if you go into Space Explorers playing it like Splendor, and you'll lose. If you're playing against somebody who's only played Space Explorers and you're coming from Splendor being like, I got this, you'll lose because they'll know how to work the cards and you'll have ideas from one that don't necessarily carry over. You'll understand how to play the other, but your strategy from one to the other do not carry over.
So I was doing very well in Splendor, and then all of a sudden he came over here.
They did not do well.
And no, not,
So basically, what Chris is
good.
saying is he lost at Splendor and then he lost really bad at Space Explorers.
Oh, it's one card away.
Okay, so now
Throw something at you.
I'm going to step away for a second. I'm going to leave
Should
you
step
guys.
away.
I'm going to leave you guys with this way. The next one, as far as gameplay goes, is the mechanics, and then we can talk about the gameplay mechanics. What you liked, what you disliked, what's the same, what's different.
I like it.
I'll be right back. Chris, go.
But she said she liked it. She should start. She was ready to go.
Ready to go.
Go.
What am I starting with?
What you liked.
Gameplay
Yes.
mechanics. What's different? What do you like?
You're like, ooh, I like it.
Okay, so what's different is the closed economy. I like it when you're first starting the game.
Where's the closed economy? What games?
Sorry, for Space Explorers. So the closed economy in Space Explorers, I liked it when the game started, but I found it challenging to actually get you have to have a little bit of luck, because if you're not getting the cards at the very beginning in order to build your engine to buy more cards later on, then you are stuck. There's not a lot that you can do unless the chips are going. But I feel like once you get to the halfway mark, you are not passing these along.
Yep.
And a lot of people are starting to hoard them because they don't have to use them. So then
I found a lot playing
that's
this game.
challenging.
And what we talked about earlier with the game mechanics of these chips is when you spend it, you pass it to person left, and it goes around. So you're limited on what you can spend or what you get.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where Brittany's.
Like I did green the
Yeah.
whole time last game, and I couldn't get it for the life of me, and nothing was on the board, and there was
can
nothing
really
I
shut
could
you
do.
down.
It could.
Then you
I mean, I still won.
But-
Didn't affect me, but
But I like you mentioned the closed economy. I like the closed economy where
it adds an interesting.
all the money that's in the game is the money that we have. There's no bank.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if we spend something, I got whatever I spend, I give to Chris. Whatever he spends, he gives to Brittany. Whatever Brittany spends, she gives to me. And then you get to the point, like in Splendor, where your cards offer the currency, and that currency you don't have to give to anybody.
Yeah.
That's just free. That's just for you. That's like a little gift, right? And but yeah, that is the closed currency. I like the closed currency.
Yeah.
The Splendor thing, where
I'm on the fence. I don't know if I like it. Don't know if I dislike it.
I do like it because it makes the currency into a game mechanic itself, where it's like I don't want to spend because I don't want to give it to you. And then what I spend, I'm going to make sure I give to you what you don't need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now the secret to winning Space Explorers is to sit to the left of Chris. Because Chris will just be like, I want this card. Here you go, Brittany. Go on a shopping spree.
Hey, you are totally
Unlike
making it seem
you.
like my strategy didn't work. My strategy was excellent.
Your strategy was buy everything because you had all the money because Chris gave it to you.
No, I had all the awesome icons and I worked it to my benefit, and you did not. Don't be
And
jealous.
No, Brittany
Never
did
really said Mark, because I've played with Mark a couple times now. And I was always after him, and I never ever got any money.
No, yeah, because I
Hoards it.
usually hoard all the money.
Yes.
And I try to get a machine going where I don't have to give any of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not stuck because there's a game mechanic where if you have a card in hand, because you could take any card off the table and be like, this is mine, that's my
I
action
should
this
have
turn.
used that more.
And then when your turn comes around, you can spend that card and be like, I got 2 icons of any type I want.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So you're not stuck. it's easy to get a wild card, right?
My problem was always you grab a card like, okay, I use this as a wild card. Ooh, I really like its benefits. I don't want to get rid of it. I'll just grab this one as a wild card, and then, oh, crap, I really like its benefits. And then you end up with these cards, and you want to spend them, and you're like, well, do I spend this one?
And this is why Chris loses.
This is why Chris loses. So, now,
Girl. Like,
as far as mechanics go, there's a lot of similarities between these two games.
That's how I am in Terraforming Mars.
Mhm.
Not at all.
Now, there's a lot of similarities between these two games, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And things like instead of nobles, we have projects.
Projects. Yeah.
And we all recruit, instead of specialists, we have, I can't remember what these are called anymore, developments, I think. So there's a lot of the same game mechanics there. And now Space Explorers takes mechanics and I think they make everything harder.
Yes.
Because as I mentioned in Splendor, you stack these two cards, you get 2 gems. In Space Explorers, if you stack these 2 cards, you lost the ability of the card that came before it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing, right? So you have to plot it well.
Yeah.
And if you do, you can do well in this game. You just have to figure out what card you're going to buy last.
Mm.
And then when you buy a
Which
card,
is
you got to figure out,
sometimes
like, you're like, is it worth sacrificing this ability because I'm going to buy this card that's going to stack on this card, right? So I like the thinking that goes into Space. I find there's more, for me, there's more thinking that goes into Space Explorers than there is Splendor.
I agree.
So as far as mechanics go, there's a lot of similarities. I'm trying to think of what is. There might be something different that we're forgetting, but other than all the different.
Well, even just the market, like you said itself, we've got a closed market here, or a closed economy, and that one is neat how you get to buy a variety of them, or take a variety of them, or a specific one.
Yeah, I
Like
think in Splendor, you get
Splendor
to
has its
pull
tiers.
right from the bank, right? You're like,
Yeah.
I can't buy any of the cards, but I'm just going to take the currency. Excuse me. I'm going to take the currency I need, and that's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
But in Space Explorers, you take the card, and you're like, well, that's the currency I need,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's similar, doing it different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because if you need currency, you just take the currency you need. In this one, if you need currency, you don't have it, just take the card.
Mm-hmm.
And that card is whatever currency. Every card in Space Explorers is a wild card. Where in Splendor, you take a card and you get a wild token, which is worth 1. One of these wild cards is worth 2. Thing is, it's easier to get these. No, like, it's not easier as in you can just take a turn and take a card. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in Splendor, when I'm taking a card and I'm taking a wild token, that I feel like I'm sacrificing a turn
Yeah.
more so than I am in Space
Yes.
Explorers.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes.
So in Space Explorers, it feels like it just feels okay
Hmm.
because I'm not only taking
When you
a
draw,
card.
you don't get to get money.
Yeah.
That is your.
The thing is, I'm taking it, and I'm not only taking it for me. I'm also taking it to block you. Like it feels. I feel like I'm more in control of what's happening on the board here. Like I feel more in tune with that. That might be just me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. Anyways, so there's not much difference between the mechanics other than all the special abilities. I'm not going to go through them all, but there's a bunch of them. But if you take away the special abilities, I think we've covered everything that's pretty much different.
Yeah.
Next, we got. Okay, we talked about the closed economy. In this game, and this question comes up often, is there a solo mode? No, in neither. There is not.
Mhm.
So that's the end of that topic. Is there anything as far as gameplay goes? Any other questions like here?
No.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody?
So one of the questions was from Tater. Oh, Tater Tots. That's funny.
Tater tots is
Tater
delicious.
Says, can I look ahead in Space Explorers like I can in Splendor to kind of feel out how I want to tackle the game to win? So my question back was, what do you mean by look ahead? Like look at the cards on the board. So I think that there's more. Oh, here we are. Well, in Splendor, you see in front of you all kind. Well, in Splendor, you see in front of you kind of a few ahead. So you see 6 cards at a time.
Well, in Splendor,
Space
Splendor sees 12 cards. In Space Explorers, you see 6 cards.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. There can be more because
They say I can see what nobles are available. Yes, you can see the projects
Yeah,
at all times.
The projects are available at all, and they're double-sided. So the way the projects work is you take them and you're supposed to flip them and randomly select that way. It's like, that's the project for when you're setting up. So they're double printed, which is a clever little way of doing it, because really the nobles can be double-sided. There's no reason for them to just be that, right? You can still choose randomly. So you could have done the same thing with the nobles.
Yep. Melissa mentioned that Splendor is a great game to get their child to play board games. She also likes Ghost Love Candy, King of Tokyo, and Smash Ups.
Smash Up, we have Smash Up. I got it as a gift for
I don't
Christmas.
think we've played it though.
No, we haven't. I've played the app.
King of Tokyo I played before.
Yes, King of Tokyo. I prefer King of New York because King of New York is King of Tokyo with more stuff. You haven't played either.
No.
Yeah, I just realized that. I was like, Chris hasn't played either. We have to teach Chris some King of New York. I don't have King of Tokyo. I have King of New York and expansion.
Ghost Love Candy sounds familiar, but I can't remember. Roy mentioned that Space Explorers does have a solo mode.
What?
So
Hold on. It says 2 to 4, Roy. Let me see. I'm on it. You know, it's funny because when I was writing our show notes, I did write a note. I know there's no expansions for this yet. What is the solo mode? What? Hold on, Roy. It's funny you mention that, and I'm not going against you because I thought I recall something about a solo mode, but when I investigated, it says in the back of the box 2 to 4 players. So I stopped looking.
Is there something in
There might be something in the rule book.
rule book for solo players? Roy, do you know?
Roy, if
Let us know.
you let us know.
We'll let everyone else know.
Where's this and how do we play? What?
Because, yeah, I didn't see it, but I didn't read through the whole rule book. I read just what we need to know. I didn't see anything about solo mode. Anyways, interesting. Because, yeah, the box does not lead us to believe that there's a solo mode, and I don't see anything here, but I am just skimming. I don't see it. Interesting. Okay. Let's move on. Roy will get to us. Roy will get back to us.
Yep.
So, now we've discussed mechanics. We've discussed a lot of things. Now, let's discuss expansions and licenses. So, first, well, here's the thing. Splendor has been around for quite a bit longer than Space Explorers. So there is an expansion for Splendor. What's it called? Cities of Splendor? Something like that?
Yes.
And that expansion has like 4 modules in it. So it's like 4 expansions in one. They look good. We haven't played them.
We haven't played them.
So we're basing this all on the basics of like this. But if you want to take expansions into account, if you're a person that likes expansions, there seems like a lot of good potential in the Splendor expansions, although we haven't played them, but we did research them as like, what are they? We didn't get to play them, but they look really cool. Space Explorers is too new. There's no expansions. But look at my rules. So, would you play an expansion? I think I got the idea for this. Would you play the expansion for Splendor?
Oh yeah. Hands down.
Because it looks really cool.
It did. It absolutely did.
Because the expansion for Splendor.
I was wondering where they were going to go with it when you said there was an expansion. Like, where do you go from here? And they took some interesting turns. I thought it was really neat.
I like the fact that the expansion pack has like 4 different modules, and you're supposed to play each module independently. Like, you're not supposed to combo all of them. So that's really cool. And it brings a lot more variety to Splendor that isn't there currently. But it doesn't have any superpowers type of thing. It just adds like the cities seem to have like different end conditions.
Yeah.
The ones with the towers, we were putting the
physical
more
battling
towers
there. I looked like.
Yeah, there's more of like I'm gonna screw you by putting this on here, and you're like, I'm gonna screw you by taking that off of there.
Yeah.
So there's a variety of things. Well,
Maybe a lot of.
There's some special abilities on the sure. There's that version that has the big board.
Ah, yes.
That had some special abilities. I don't know what the special abilities were, but it had some.
They were like bonuses and.
So there's the thing is you can expand on Splendor. You can't expand on Space Explorers so far yet, right? So here's the thing: is what? So okay, so if it was, so you definitely play this. You're interested. Both of you guys are interested in playing the Splendor expansions, right? would you play an expansion for Space Explorers?
Yeah.
Not that there is one so far,
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
because we're all interested in the game enough to see them expand.
Unless
That's
I saw it and it was like cards of your face expanded and retracted, then I'd be like, no, not playing. Not playing. Just saying.
Well, now I have to get rid of your Christmas gift.
Okay, so Splendor also has it's not an expansion, but they have a relicensed thing of like Marvel, right? There's Marvel Splendor. It's like Splendor with Marvel characters. Chris didn't know about this. Brittany does. Because we were at Gen Con when we heard about it, actually. The Marvel Splendor. It's like Marvel superheroes, but Splendor.
Oh.
Apparently, I'm the
All
only one that knew
about
about it.
You're all you.
But yeah, it's a Marvel themed one. So that's not an expansion, that's a theme, but that's cool. I'd be into that. If I bought Splendor, that'd be the one I'd buy, because why not? Just because they're Marvel heroes, that's what I'm going to buy. And I'm a big comic book guy. So what do you see as an expansion for Space Explorers? We already have expansion for Splendor. What would you see? What could be an expansion for Space Explorers?
I don't know where you'd go from there. Like,
I could see different abilities for sure. Like you can expand on this card. That seems easy.
Locations. I could see like planets.
Like planets you
Oh.
go to. Like, take
Instead
to the
of
next level?
projects. Yeah. Or
That's
even
interesting.
on top of.
Like yeah, it could be another
Bigger
layer.
projects
Like
being
finish
like-
projects to get to
Oh.
the next level, which is
Okay.
like
Almost
land
like
on
there's
the
a tier
moon type
system.
of
Like
thing.
you have to get
Very
your
cool.
projects, which give you more points, which then take you to a land
That'd be
or
really cool.
moon or whatever.
So yeah, if there was expansion for Space Explorers, I'd play it for sure. I like Space Explorers. Thing is with Space Explorers, and let's say this about Space Explorers and Splendor, is they're both easy to learn. I'll play these anytime. We play Space Explorers more because we own Space Explorers. Splendor's on loan, but they're easy to just pull out. And the thing is, we have pulled those Space Explorers when we've had people over and said, hey, we need to finish a game in like 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Something under an hour. So we pull this out. We've taught
while
people.
teaching them.
Yeah, while teaching them. So with the teaching, you finish this in under an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And it works out great. And there's always the case of like you can have somebody with a whole lot of AP, like analysis paralysis, and they're just that's our Chris. And they think a lot about everything they do. Like they'll take if there's dice, they'll roll it and they're like, shall it go now? Shall it go now?
It's gotta feel
it
right,
takes,
man.
It takes
feel
forever.
Right.
So, Roy got back to us. Roy, you're a superstar.
Oh no, Roy, what's going on?
Roy says you can download the solo rules from 25th Century Games on their website.
Oh,
So I'm currently on their website, and there is a PDF that does say solo mission flight plan. So, Roy,
oh my God!
save
Hold on!
today.
Hold on! I knew it sounded familiar. 1 second, I'll be back.
You
Guys,
have this
talk
printed out?
about something. Talk about something.
Oh, now there's so much pressure.
I don't know what to say.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna actually take this URL and I'm gonna
Wait
post
a
it.
Oh
in
my
the
God!
description below.
I'm such an a-hole. I knew it sounded familiar. Bam! Space Explorer solo
Oh
mode.
my god!
I got this thing. I've never opened it.
This is why I take in the inventory.
I've
Wait a
never
second. We've
opened
been
this.
complaining about me teaching games. He brought an entire booklet, people.
It's not a book.
Entire
No,
booklet.
it's not a, oh, there's a book. But look,
See?
there's like special. There's like other
There's
projects.
the cards.
But
Oh.
it's
What
for
else are we
solo
missing
mode.
from there?
And then there's
Marco.
this stuff. I don't even know what this is for because I never look. There's the solo rules. Roy, you were solo on the ball. I knew it sounded familiar. I put it in our notes. I was like, Space Explorer solo mode? Question mark. That was in our notes. So I was like, I don't know why I got that idea in my head. Now I know because I have this. I have the solo mode expansion. That was it.
Thank you, Roy, for proving that Mark misses rules too.
Thank you, Roy. This was a rule. That wasn't in the rule book. I didn't miss
It's a
anything.
whole rule booklet,
No,
so it counts.
I missed a
It
rule.
counts.
No, hold on. I missed an expansion to everything. I didn't miss a rule in the rule book. Chris.
It's a whole rule.
You know what? If this was Chris teaching us how to space explorers, he'd forget how to explore space. That's how Chris works.
So Tater Tot says Space Explorers that just went up on their list because of the solo play. Very cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I've completely forgot about that. Because yeah, we got
You
that.
forgot about it? I had no idea.
It was in here. Fine. Anyways, we're done with that. So, next category. Next thing. Replayability. Let's talk about first Splendor's replayability. Either of you. Go.
I'll definitely play it again.
You know what? I think. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Chris. I think Chris should go after Brittany.
Mm.
And Chris, if you could grab me a beer from the
I think there's more
fridge in the corner.
without
That's
the
right.
expansion. If we're just looking at the base game, I think that there's more playability or replayability in Space Explorers because of the complexity of it. With all of the abilities.
Yeah, not taking into consider expansions.
Yeah, not taking into consideration the expansion, because I think the expansion is going to give a lot of it replayability for Splendor. So I don't know. That would be my take. But I've only played Splendor once, so just looking at it, I feel like I couldn't play it all weekend. It's not a game I could play all weekend.
On its own.
I like it though. I like that it's fast. I like that it's easy to learn. I like that I could have a really hard day mentally and be able to come and play that game. You can do that with this game as well, but I feel like that was easier.
Which game? Space Explorers?
Sorry, Splendor.
Yeah, Splendor, but you said you could do this game.
You could do it with Space Explorers as well, but I feel like there's more thinking in this one, whereas that one I could just build my engine, go with the flow, kind of pick a little strategy, but it didn't hurt my brain.
Chris, Splendor's replayability.
For me, yeah, absolutely. I see after a point, I think you've kind of done it all. It's just more of a strategy thing. But I'm a numbers guy, so I don't mind doing that with that game, because for me, like I said, it was kind of a numbers game to me, and I kind of like that. Like Sudokus, I just like playing with numbers. So for me, I don't mind playing them. And like I said,
I don't mind
you can kind of turn off and play you're not, because with this one, I love all the added stuff, but I've got to focus. I've really got to focus. Got to watch this card covering that card. What are you doing with your cards? And a lot more focus on it. So for me, it's kind of a relaxing. I'll play it again and again.
Well,
That's quick.
For me, when it comes to Splendor, Splendor is the first time we played Splendor, when Jay, the owner of the game, taught us how to play. I was like, okay, I get it, and I'm done. Mm-hmm. I wanted to play again to teach Brittany how to play, but that was it. I was like, hey, I'm done. I was like, it was a good game for that time we played it. We played twice, maybe once, twice. The first time we played it with Jay when he came over to teach us.
I think 2 or 3 times. So I was winning that night.
Yeah, Chris.
Forget to mention the nights that I win.
He was on fire.
Yeah.
Mark conveniently forgets when other people win.
Just when Chris wins.
So Tater Tot mentioned.
We got Tater.
Or they say, kind of feels like a game with some random. Splendor kind of seems like a game with some random theme on it. Does Space Explorers feel that way too, or do the mechanics kind of match the theme better? I
don't know. It's hard to say. I think the mechanics of Space Explorer. I think both games. You could I think you could put any theme on this. You could be like, these are a bunch of bakers. And, Space Explorers is a bunch of bakers, and Splendor's is Marvel superheroes. They've done it already, right? So, yeah, I think any of those mechanics can be attached to any of the themes.
I agree.
So,
yeah, I don't know if one is better than the other. I think they're similar that way.
So now back to the replayability. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, the theme was more sells you in it, but the mechanics and the themes really can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's my astronaut that's doing this, or when I'm playing Splendor. Actually, maybe Splendor, I was like, I'm buying gems, so maybe it feels more like the gem merchant is involved, but I don't really think about the theme for any of them except for the visuals of
Yeah.
like this, like because of I feel like I'm in the era with Space Explorers. Like I feel like it sucks me in for that reason. But gameplay wise, yeah, you could probably slap on any.
But I wonder if it would be as consuming if we didn't have the mat.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like
You like the mat, do you?
I think the mat plays a big role when it comes to
Really, the mat.
theme because it takes up a lot of the table.
Uh-huh.
It's themed like the moon and the stars,
That's
and you have
Earth.
your product. That's not Earth.
That's
What's
Earth.
it gonna-
That's
Oh, okay, Earth. Clearly, I'm not an astronaut. But it's. Oh yeah, it is. You saw it live here on Board Game Coffee. It looked all great. Anywho, I don't know where I was going with that now. You totally distracted me. Oh, it takes up space, and then you're placing the cards on this area in
I
space,
agree.
and I like that. And I think like Splendor, the cards go all over the table as well, and I think Splendor would have a better presence on the table if we didn't have
yeah.
a mat.
Well, if there's a mat for Splendor.
I understand that there's a mat for Splendor, but we didn't play.
I
with the
don't know
mat.
what it looks like, but I agree the mat.
But I feel like
the mat helps.
if we didn't have this
the
mat
feeling.
and you put down 6 cards with the pile and 6 projects or 5 projects, would you still feel like you were consumed in the game? And I don't know.
Mm.
I don't think so. I think Splendor would actually have a better presence on the table. Because it's 12 cards, it has the stack.
It takes up more.
neat,
It takes up
neat.
more space. It takes up more space. I'll give you that. It takes up more space on the table without the mat. But
I'm not saying I
If
don't
Splendor
love these
had
cards.
gems. I'm just saying.
get off the gems. It doesn't have.
It
the
doesn't
gems.
have gems.
It doesn't
Chris.
have gems. And what were we even talking about? I think we've gone off. We were
You know
talking.
what's funny?
We were talking about replayability, and we never even mentioned replayability of a Space Explorers. So you know what? Let's
Yeah, we
just.
did.
Oh,
I
no,
did.
we were just talking about Splendor replayability, and then we got into the mats at some point.
Tater tots.
Oh yeah. So
Maybe in their next expansion you can get gems.
you know what? Let's just go overall. When I talk about Space Explorers replayability, if I was between Space Explorers and Splendor, I'd rather replay Space Explorers because I find I'm gonna get more of a difference. Just because like the abilities I get are different per turn. Because the ability I get this game might be the ability that Chris had last game.
That's fair.
And depending how I cover them, it'll play different. So the abilities I have will change. Like this game last game I had, where we just played now, I felt like I was struggling. I felt like I wasn't playing as good as I had in the past. Because in the past I had a good kind of like an engine, like a sub-engine of things going where it's like, okay, this card is supplying the materials I need. This card is giving me the abilities to draw other cards. And like I had a good thing going. This time I was sloppy. Like I was just picking up based on points and I didn't have a lot of special abilities. So I ended up passing money around or currency around more than I usually do.
Yeah. Good.
Because you basically took your strategy for Splendor and you came into Space Explorers and you didn't change and adapt, whereas I did and I kicked your butt.
If you take your again, I think we've said that already, right? If you take your strategy from Splendor, you take the Space Explorers, it's not going to work out.
And I feel like the last game we played of Space Explorers, I actually used the what are these? Special abilities. Thank you for not helping. No, but the special abilities on the cards I actually used, and I used it to my benefit, and I think that played a big factor, whereas I haven't done that in the past. I was playing it almost like Splendor, where you're kind of matching the colors and you're trying to buy points, and so I would agree with you on that one, that there's a lot of more playability when it comes to
replayability. Okay,
replayability,
so do we think if you were to say replayability between Splendor, base Splendor, not expansions, no expansions, and base Space Explorers, who has most replayability? Chris.
For
Chris, you're not Chris. Space Explorers for Chris.
Space Explorers.
Pretty.
Space Explorers.
Me, Space Explorers as well. So, base Space Explorers. Again, there are expansion options for
But
Splendor.
now,
which
with
there
that
are.
replayability, I will say, kind of what Brittany was pointing out earlier is the easiness to play. That you don't have to think about it. So for me, I almost want to like for tonight, playing the games, being more exhausted, and you're getting tired.
I wanted to play
I'd
Splendor
rather play
again.
more Splendor
Well-
because of the fact I don't have to have that thinking. It's like it's a
agree.
challenge, like the Terraforming Mars.
And it's fast.
Here's the thing:
Whereas
a part of like I'm not sure about Chris, but part of Brittany, I think you wanted to play Space Explorers is because you only got to play it once. Not
mean
Space
Splendor?
Explorers, Splendor.
Yeah.
You wanted to play Splendor because you only played it once, and you're like, I didn't get it. I played it wrong. I want to play it again to fix myself. You've played Space Explorers plenty,
That's true.
right? So Splendor was new for you,
Yeah.
which is the opposite for most people because they played Splendor first.
And now they're playing Space.
And that's Space Explorers. Like the way I look at Space Explorers, it's like Splendor with superpowers.
Oh, for sure.
Like the abilities, like it plays a lot like Splendor, except it's got superpowers.
Mm.
Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is okay. Now I kept this separate. Now here's the thing: I give a show notes for everybody. I send show notes to everybody. They're just topics we're going to discuss. But in this one, I had some redacted information because I'm curious to see what these guys think, which is price point between Splendor versus Space Explorers. Now, and this is great because I can do this because I buy most of the games, so I know how much they cost. So, how much would you say Splendor is between these two? Splendor versus Space Explorers.
Chris should go first because I kind of have an idea.
Chris.
Probably not me guessing at all because I have no judgment on the price of games at all because then that means I have to go to the big box stores,
Well,
which is not the best place to buy.
Yeah,
So-
I
Chris has
no
only
idea.
bought Ticket to Ride and Gaia Project.
Yeah.
So
You're
he's
gonna
bought.
say Maya Project.
Gaia
I saw
Project,
you.
So Chris has bought like
No.
like entry level game and then like mega level game. Those are the only two he's ever bought.
And one was at a big box store, and the other was actually at a game board store.
Yeah.
So
At a
not a
game.
good buy.
And fun fact, Ticket to Ride, some of the prices you get at like just non-game stores
Are
are crazy. Like $80 for Ticket to Ride. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But we don't
So
buy.
when you're out there,
We don't shop at those stores. Do your
check
research.
your prices.
Check your research. Yeah. Check
Because
your
even the
prices.
places you think would be inexpensive are $10 more than gaming places, and some gaming places are too high. As
So
well.
look at me as being the new person into
Okay.
this stuff, and yes,
So
do your
I
research.
I kind of know the prices.
Okay,
I
so-
could be wrong.
So Splendor, what would you think? What would you expect for Splendor?
What
Get
do
in the
you
round.
expect, or what do you think it's at?
What do you think it's at?
I think it's a $40 to $50 game.
40 to 50 for Splendor.
Sure. I'm not good.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah,
For what you played?
from what I've seen,
Okay, so now, how about Space Explorers, but not with these bits, because these bits cost extra. This costs extra.
I know how much it is, so you have to go first.
So
I would say it's more expensive. By like
So if you're saying 40 to 60, are you saying 50 to 60? 60 to 70 for
50
Space
to
Explorers?
60. So not much more.
50 to 60.
So
Because they don't have gems, but if they had gems, I'm telling you.
Let go of the gems, man.
it,
It's over. There's no gems.
it seems like Space Explorers should be more expensive, but it's not.
How much do you think?
It's $30.
Did you check?
I know the price.
Okay. So here's the price point. And I'm going to do this in Canadian and American. For Splendor, now price point, and for Canadian prices, I went for Board Game Bliss, which is the online store, which is popular for Canadians, and 401 Games, which is in Toronto, which actually for both games, they share a price. They don't always, but they agree on this price. For Splendor, $38.24 Canadian.
Oh, okay.
$38.24 for Splendor. Canadian. Now, in US dollars, Splendor is from Cool Stuff Inc. $35.99. Now,
It's more expensive in the States.
yeah, so here's the thing. $35.99, which is a lower number than $38.24. But if you can convert $35.99 to Canadian, that's $47.92. So the game costs
Yeah.
the game costs almost $10 more if us Canadians would buy it in the States.
Mhm.
So we're so much better buying it in Canada.
And we did not do that.
And the thing is, yeah, we bought it. We bought the Kickstarter. Well, we bought the Kickstarter, so that was in American dollars, and then we paid American dollars for the extras. So
I don't think it was Kickstarter. I think it was a pre-order.
no, it was a Kickstarter.
That's
Oh no, hold
It
on.
was a
So
pre-order.
we did. Sorry, hold on. Let me correct.
Back that
We
up.
did a
Space.
pre-order.
Hold on. I'm gonna erase everything I've said. Space Explorers was a Kickstarter. We did not get the Kickstarter. Other people we know did get the Kickstarter. I did a pre-order at Origins, but you could pick up your Kickstarter there too. So we did not Kickstart this. We did a pre-order. But either way, we had to pay American dollars for the bonuses. So I forgot. Yes, correct. We didn't Kickstart this. Other people we know did. We pre-ordered it and we picked it up at Origins. And that is correct. So, okay, so we're talking about Splendor. So that's the Splendor price. So if you Americans are out there, if you're close to the border, if you can get to Toronto and you want to do like a board game shopping spree, go to 401 Games or order from Board Game Bliss and pick it up in Canada somewhere, because the prices for you guys are great. Like if I was American, I'd be shopping for board games in Canada all the time. Like the prices are excellent. When we go to Origins and Gen Con, like we pick up stuff because they launch there because it's convenient for the show.
But
it
hurts our wallet.
It is not convenient for our wallet in the least at all.
The difference that we pay in the exchange rate is another board game.
It's crazy in some cases. Yeah. So that's Splendor.
Yeah.
Okay, price point. So Splendor, we're gonna at the Canadian dollars, $38.24. American, $35.99.
Okay.
So let's say 35 to 38. 35, 38. 35, 38.
No.
Sorry, 35, 38.
Yeah.
Canadian American. Splendor. Space Explorers. What do you think it costs? We'll do Canadian dollars. So you're comparing it to Splendor's, which is $38.24. Chris, what do you think Space Explorers is?
45.
45.
Canadian?
Canadian.
26.
Oh, that's a huge discrepancy. Okay. Space Explorers in Canadian dollars at 401 Games and Board Game Bliss. $26.95.
I did not cheat.
You
I
said you
felt
saw the
it.
numbers before.
No, I know that this was $30 American because that's what we paid.
$26.95 compared to $38.
Wow.
That's a huge
difference.
Sorry, that's a huge difference from $26 to 20. Let's say 27. Sorry, not 27.
That's a big
27
difference.
to 38. That's like an $11
You're basically
difference.
paying for the chips.
It's an $11 difference between these two games,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't say it's $11. And it's $11 for what all three of us have said is the more advanced game is Space Explorers.
Mhm.
It's cheaper by $11
Wow.
in Canada.
That's big.
Why?
Mind you, you're not getting these.
Yeah.
But still.
But still, I mean, the cardboard's
game
still
prices.
good quality.
So, and here's the thing. The difference now for Space Explorers, $23.98 American. Oh, and that's on I didn't get you guys to guess. But it's $23.98. So it's $24. $24 American for Space Explorers. Compared to Splendor, which is
Oh, so I was wrong with the $30.
$36. So it's a lot cheaper. Space Explorers is a lot cheaper game than Basic Splendor. But you know what? It's sold out on Board Game Bliss. I had to find that price on Amazon. So keep that in mind. It's a popular game. Sold out. Not Board Game Bliss, sorry. Cool Stuff Inc. for Americans. Cool Stuff Inc. Sold out on Cool Stuff Inc. So keep that in mind. So Space Explorers is the cheaper game overall. Splendor is much more expensive.
And it would be even more expensive if you had your gems.
Yeah, your stupid gems.
That much cooler. That much cooler.
Blame Chris.
Okay, so
That's why the prices are up. It's my fault.
now you know price point. So now what I want to discuss is, here's the question. It's a two-part question. The question is, do you need both these games in your collection? And if you already have one, do you need the other? That's the question. Do you need both these games in your collection?
No.
Chris,
I want to see the expansion.
we've seen the expansion. You haven't played it. We've seen it.
Well,
But expansion's out of it.
Yeah, just the base.
Just the base.
I'm torn because yes, they play the same, but no, they don't.
I guess you can think you can consider the expansion because, like, if you have one in your expansion, if you have Splendor in your expansion, then you can buy the expansions.
I
And
think
with the expansion, I think that you said that was even more money than the original game.
Yeah, the expansions were like $55 or something like that. Because it jumped. It was like $15 or $20 more than the base.
I think it depends on your game group.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
So, no, the average person doesn't need both. However, if you play a lot with people who game, then Space Explorers is probably going to be the better game for you. However, if you have a beautiful family at home and you want to have game night, you might have younger players.
They have to be a beautiful family. You ugly families don't count.
Beautiful families. Everyone's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
You uggos know who you are.
Terrible.
Horrible.
Oh my
Horrible.
gosh. So if you have a lovely family at home, Normark, and you have little ones, then Splendor is definitely going to be a better one. I think that we could play Splendor with my family who doesn't do a lot of gaming, and I think it would be easier to bring that to the table. Space Explorers would not fly because I think there's just too many things going on in this game, and it wouldn't be enjoyable for them. They would just be reading the card a lot. They might get lost.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about a lot of hypotheticals, right? But you're a person that knows how to play. Do you need both these games? We already have Space Explorers. Do you feel like we need to buy Splendor?
No.
No. Chris, you have access to Space Explorers.
But I think my decision would change if we had
So
younger kids coming over and playing.
but we don't.
But
Let's talk about as we are.
So no.
We don't
The
because
answer
we
to your
have
question is
we
no.
have Space Explorers. We don't have Splendor. You feel we don't need Splendor.
Correct.
Chris, you have access to Splendor more so than you have access to Space Explorers more so than Splendor because we don't have it.
Intriguing.
Do you need both?
Okay, I want to say no, you don't need both because, like, definitely for your collection, you're investing a lot of money. They play very similar, but it depends on your game. Like, I'm caught with what Brittany says. If you have
Depends on your game group.
your game group,
What-
but
you're-
no,
we're
do
talking
not
about
need me. I definitely wouldn't need both, for sure. I would not need both. No, for me personally, no, I would not need both.
So, my question to both of you: we both have Space. When we have Space now,
It's gonna bite me in
if
the
let's say we had Splendor,
Mhm.
we did not have Space Explorers. Do you think if we had Splendor, we should pick up Space Explorers?
Yes.
Yes. Interesting. 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 If we have Space Explorers, we should not pick up Splendor. But if we had Splendor, we should pick up Space Explorers. Keep that in mind. That's a big statement, Chris.
I want to say it depends on if you're adding the expansion pack.
Nope, we're just talking about
No.
vanilla.
Just vanilla ice
Just
cream.
the base game.
I'm really torn because I like the basic mechanics of Splendor.
I'll take it. I'll take a note.
Really?
So you're talking about you want to take the expansions into account. I get it.
No, even not even that, but I like basic mechanics. 'Cause for this one, I just find I have to think more.
So because Chris has trouble with the thinking. So I get it. I get
Oh my
it.
gosh.
I get it. I get it.
This is why I sit in the middle
It
of
makes
those two.
it makes sense.
I'm gonna be throwing things at him right now.
You are my witness.
Okay, so for myself, here's what I think. If I had vanilla Splendor, I would say upgrade to Space Explorers, get rid of vanilla Splendor. That's what I would say for me.
I wouldn't get rid of it. but-
Hold on. Well, because we have a problem with getting rid of things.
Mhm.
But I'm saying, like, what if we had Splendor, we'd get
That's
Space
why she
Explorer.
still has
If I had basic Splendor, if I had basic Splendor, I would pick up Space Explorers. I'd recommend picking up Space Explorers, and I wouldn't. Even if I didn't sell it, I would probably never break out Splendor again, unless I was teaching a bunch of people
who are
who
new
were
to
like
games.
brand new to games. Now, if I had Space Explorers, I'm with Brittany. I would not buy Splendor. I would not buy it. If I had Space Explorers first, I would not buy it. Even taking the expansions to consideration, I would not,
Mhm.
because I already have this. So I'm not going to buy Splendor.
Yeah.
Now, if I had Splendor and I had the expansions, I don't know. I can't say.
I'd like to try the
The
expansion.
expansions would be nice to try. So
But
maybe,
then it's hard to make that big investment.
maybe Jay will buy them, right? Yeah, because it's expensive.
Because
It doesn't seem like you get a lot of
the
games.
expansion's just as expensive as the game, and to
It
me,
doesn't-
that's really expensive. We had some
Yeah.
pretty complex games
Mhm.
for the price of
I don't
the
think we have
expansion
any.
and Splendor.
I don't think we have any expansions that are more expensive than the base game. That's an expansion that's more expensive than the base.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's more expensive than the base game, you're looking at $40. So let's say it's another.
No, it's like $55 for the expansion.
Okay, so you're looking at $100 for a game. We have a lot of games that are about $100 that are.
Here's the thing: if you compare, if you put Splendor, vanilla Splendor, you put the expansion on it with taxes, you're looking to close to $100 game. Is that a $100 game?
Mhm.
No, it's absolutely. It's absolutely not a $100 game.
Yeah.
Why? Because Rising Sun,
Yeah.
Rising Sun
Mhm.
is like
So many
80 or $89.
And each expansion's about $20 to $30.
No, but just the base.
Yeah.
Even just the base, $88 or $9. You get more play of Rising Sun than you do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's more interaction.
Yeah.
There's more strategy. There's more components. There's more everything. And they think of that price point, right? Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
If you can tell me that Splendor
Mm.
and an expansion for that price is the same as like Rising Sun, if you can tell me that, then I'd like to hear your argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time
So it's
swallowing
the
that.
same as Guy price. Pretty much. Guy price was close to the same.
Well, I think
There's a lot of
we're
games
also
there.
thinking about big games.
There's
I
a
mean,
lot.
that Splendor
Yeah,
is not
but-
a big game.
No, but it costs the same
as
as
a
the
game.
I understand. But like, you could look at something like Clank. Clank is not an overly expensive game. You get a lot of gameplay out of that. It does have your gems. And I think it's totally worth the $50, $60 that it probably is at, right?
If you were
So
to,
I
if you,
do think Splendor is a little overpriced,
yeah, I agree. I think Splendor is overpriced.
considering it's just cards.
Like, what
No
are we?
gems.
Like, what are we paying for? Like these chips? I'm
No
assuming these
chips.
chips are the cost.
But you could do cardboard.
This could be
Yeah.
cardboard, and the game would not change,
No.
and it would bring the cost down to more of a Space Explorers.
Okay.
So as far as price point, Space Explorers handles it a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. So tater tot, I love it.
I love you, Tater Tots. I love that name. Tater
Yeah.
Tots are delicious.
Tater I don't think you need both, but games like Funko and Unmatched, you kind of do need both.
Oh, good one. We do have both, and I would have a hard time deciding between the two.
I don't think I would. Yeah, I like both of them.
And a lot of that is
So you have to go outside.
oh, sorry, we're talking. Sorry, Chris left because he's taking care of our dog.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Because our dog came down to us and looked at us like, dudes, I gotta go outside. And Chris is gonna go take care of him. He's like, I gotta pee. So it's gonna be me and Brittany. So now we're just gonna badmouth Chris. Let's go to the next category fast before Chris gets here. What? Okay, so next we pick price point. So do you need both? All right. Oh, we can't do the last one though, Chris. So you know what? I'm gonna get the boards. We need Chris because the last question is, which would you pick if you could only pick one? Gun to your head, Splendor or Space Explorers. Which would you choose? I'm gonna get the boards. 1 second. Brittany, entertainment, dance.
Wait, am I answering this question?
You're not right now.
No,
Not right
okay.
now. Not right
And
now.
I'm going to read some comments that came in earlier
Read it.
that we didn't have the opportunity to talk about. So, where is it?
Hold on.
Melissa.
Boards.
Melissa mentioned earlier that she wanted to let us know that she enjoyed the video of Throw Burrito. She thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious too. Actually.
So if you haven't seen our unboxing of Throw Burrito, it was quite entertaining.
I honestly, you know what? I watch a lot of our unboxing. Well, I watch our unboxing because I edit our unboxings. But I don't watch a lot of them once they're up on YouTube because I've seen them like multiple times while I'm editing them. But the Throw Burrito unboxing, I've watched multiple times. It makes me laugh. Why? Because Brittany pelts me with, and it's not scripted. I don't know when they're coming. And if you pay attention to the Throw Burrito video, you'll see that I don't know when they're coming because I'm like flinching. I'm trying to read it. Like I got the twitches because I see her from the corner of my eye, like just ready to throw them, and I'm like, yeah, she's behind the camera. Now here's the thing. So while Chris is gone, I'm going to share some info. I mean, I got some info on the bottom here. Oh no, I don't. I didn't write it down here. Where did I write that? I wrote info down somewhere. So here's the thing. Board Game Coffee is going to Essen. That's right. We're going to Essen Spiel. Is that what it's called? Essen Spiel Essen. We're going to Spiel in Essen. We're going to Essen at the end of October. But when I say we, I mean me, because Brittany nor Chris can make it, but I'll be there. I really want them to go, but they can't go. So if you're going to Essen, look me up. I'll be at the Gamelin booth. I'll be hanging out with those guys. Those guys are awesome. I'll be helping demoing some of their. Oh, can you see? I don't know if you. Yeah, you can see it. Heroes. I'll be helping to demo some of Heroes, Land, Air, and Sea. Tiny Epic Mechs. Possibly Tiny Epic Tactics. I don't have a copy myself yet, but it's in the mail. Tiny Epic Mechs and Tiny Epic Zombies. Oh, and Tiny Epic Galaxies. Now, Tiny Epic Galaxies is one of our
first games that we started playing a lot together.
It's one of our top. I say it's one of our top
five games.
Yeah, it's one of our top 5 games
strategy games
overall.
Couples, yeah.
It's great. So that's what we're doing. Now we're killing time until Chris gets here. Does anybody have any questions? Because Chris is taking what we like to call here his sweet ass time. Now this is the problem with doing live, Brittany.
So have you ever played Killer Bunnies?
No.
So
is it like Exploding Kittens?
I don't know. But supposedly Melissa mentioned that it's her favorite game, and she had asked us, what's our all-time favorite game?
Oh, Terraforming Mars, I'd say.
And I had a hard time answering the question. I feel like we have so many.
We do have a lot of favorite games, but I say Terraforming
Mars is yeah.
I say Terraforming Mars would be our favorite game. Now, when you say, what was the game called?
Killer Bunnies.
Killer Bunnies. Now, I've never played Killer Bunnies, but we do have Bunny Kingdom and there's Exploding Kittens. So if you combine them, you might have Killer Bunnies.
Yeah. Oh, Melissa says Gloomhaven is a great game that is expensive but worth every penny. We haven't played Gloomhaven yet, but we can't wait.
Oh, we have so many plans for
We have so many plans.
We have plans for Gloomhaven specifically. Now, hold on. If you watched our last feed, we showed you our camera setup that we're going to have. And that was mainly for Gloomhaven. We are going to break out Gloomhaven. It's going to happen. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Oh, here's another thing. Now Chris is here. I just remembered this. Yeah. People have been asking us about doing more playthroughs and more whatevers. We're setting up our cameras. We're going to work on them on Sunday. That's 2 days from now. If all goes well, cross fingers. If all goes well.
Did we
fingers
tell them I
crossed.
finished the table?
Yeah, the
Oh
table's
yeah,
finished.
the table's
Like-
done.
Table's finished. It looks the same.
Before I start getting hate mail.
No, hold on. It looks the same to everybody, but actually the table has legs on it, so
And
it's sturdy.
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 You are not moving this thing, people. No.
So now we can hook up the
Mark
cameras.
isn't moving
So
it with his
Sunday
hands.
we're hooking up cameras. We're gonna set up for our playthroughs, live playthroughs, which is so many plans for the future. Once this table is done, it's gonna be awesome.
Table is
The
done.
table is done.
No, it's done. But no, I mean,
It's
like
done.
now that's done.
Yeah.
That's our plan. So we're
Now
gonna do
it's
this.
on to Mark.
So
Out of my hands.
Tater Tot wanted to mention don't use permanent marker again like last time. People don't forget, Mark. People don't forget.
I take note.
But
This is not a permanent marker.
thank you for the reminder. I did check once you said that.
That's why I brought all the markers here and I picked them out. Okay, so now, Chris,
What?
or our last thing is, which would you pick if you could only pick one between these two games? Now, gun to your head, you have to pick one. I'm looking for other notes in case I made them. I think I did. I'm just trying to see.
But I wanna pick one. Because I'm torn between all the different variabilities here.
Actually, I had one answer.
Shh, no, up, don't affect Chris's. Because here's the thing. I told these guys not to talk. You know what they started doing? Talking. And I shut that down instantly.
He did very rudely earlier. It was
Oh my
rude.
gosh.
So rude.
All right.
It's
so-
just funny because I had one coming in, and then with your price points and all the other stuff, it's kind of
So you have to pick one game, gun to your head. Yeah, keep that everything in mind. Keep components, game mechanics, expansions,
I'm gonna say for
price
me.
point. You gotta
This
write
one
that down.
is for me.
You're not gonna
I'll
say
explain.
you're not gonna say anything. You're just gonna write it down. He's gonna write it down. I've written mine down. I've got my answer. I've got my answer. Okay, so now this is if we had to pick one of these games, gun to our head. Because I think we all agree. We don't need both of these in our collection. We don't need both of these in our collection.
Yeah, buddy.
Can't wait to see what Chris writes down.
Melissa wants to know if I'm ever going to do an unboxing. And I said I've only ever done a reboxing, which
She's
is
done reboxing.
really relaxing.
Fun fact.
Loved it.
We have a Kickstarter video for On Point, which is a ballet game, which we've shared pictures on our Instagram account. And Brittany is starring in that preview video.
Yes.
That's Brittany's first. So
be kind, people. Be
Be
kind.
Brittany's first preview video, and I've been editing that video. Brittany's done it. Brittany usually edits my unboxings.
Yeah.
And then, but I've edited her preview video for On Point, which is coming out
Next week.
next week. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. And then, well, I'm not going to say what it is, but we also got, just in case you're wondering, the next Tiny Epic question mark game. We can't tell you what it is. We're also doing the video for that.
Thanks
And
for the
that-
messages you say.
Yes.
And that video, it's all top secret. They haven't announced it yet. But that video is starring me and Chris. I can't tell you why. You might not recognize Chris.
No.
But it's me and Chris.
It's exciting.
It's a passionate role.
Yeah, Chris.
Okay,
because-
let's stop
Yeah,
talking.
stop talking
Let's
about
stop talking.
All right.
Okay, let's flip it.
Okay, Chris. Gun to your head. Gun to your head, Chris. You have to pick Splendor or Space Explorer after everything we've discussed. What are you gonna pick?
For me personally,
Not for you personally. Not for Melissa.
no,
Not for Tater Tots.
for me,
For Chris.
because of my situations and the people I game with outside of you crazy kooks.
You ain't agreeing with outside of us.
Just pretend like I have people. I have friends. I'm gonna go with Splendor on this one because I think I can broaden my horizons more of that because it's easier, but replayability definitely Space Explorers. But I would say
So
if I
you
get
don't.
one,
So you're picking Splendor
because I can play the more complex games with you guys. This is my
So you're taking that to play with everybody, the people you care about.
because they don't play board games like you guys do. So that's why I'm gonna be off the cuff here. I'm gonna try something different and say Splendor for me in my situation in my household.
Okay, that's fair.
This one will go over easier.
Splendor. Splendor. All right. Splendor for Chris. And you heard his reasons.
Because we're number people. My
Brittany.
peoples. My peoples.
I'm gonna say
Oh!
Space Explorers, although I thought I was coming into this
Hold on,
to
it's-
say Splendor.
It's official
Sorry.
right there.
And now I'm just gonna borrow Chris's Splendor, so it would be perfect.
That's it. We had it all planned out.
So why did you choose? Why did you
Okay,
choose
so
Space
I
Explorers?
changed my mind,
Now here's the thing. Bree says she changed her mind.
but
When we were
I just
playing,
wanna play
when
it
we
again.
were playing Splendor, as soon as we ended the game, both her and Chris were like, "Oh, I like this one better." Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "Bah! I need you to cut that right now. No conversation until we go live. We talk with our people."
I think it was because it was why I like Splendor is because I got into it. It was easy. It was quick.
Mhm.
I could play multiple games in a row. Like I could. It.
But after all our discussion,
But
you
then
went space base.
then we played Space Explorers.
Space Explorer. I don't want to say
And
space base. Space
I
Explorers.
finally used a lot of the components that I had been using before. And I really enjoyed it. And then once we started talking about cost versus replayability versus strategy versus complexity, like all that came together. And I was like, if you only could pick one, the better value is Space Explorers.
Great, so
Unless you are playing with people who don't game a lot or you're playing with younger kids.
And it's interesting that you thought that because Brittany was all Team Splendor, but also that's why I wanted you to not talk to each other before we played Space Explorers because you've played Space Explorers. Splendor was brand new for you, even though
Which
it's an
could
older
be why
game,
I'm like, ooh,
right? So you're like, ooh,
yeah.
new experience. Let's do that again.
Yeah.
This is old hat for Brittany.
Yeah.
But I admit, because of all the stuff we talked about, I wanted to pick Space Explorer, and I was going to, but I'm like, no, in my situation,
That's
in
fair.
my thing, Splendor benefits me.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Chris has a habit of making wrong decisions because I also picked Space Explorers. So Space Explorers for me.
Chris keeps things interesting.
Don't doggy that. So Space Explorers. Why I picked Space Explorers. The theme appeals to me a lot more. Like I prefer just overall the appeal of this versus let me get one. This versus this appeals to me more. So as an artist, myself, the aesthetics of this appeals to me. That's what drew me. You know what drew me in? This box drew me in. That got my attention right away. Splendor
It did not get my attention at all.
But then I looked into it and I watched their video, their Kickstarter video, and I was like, well, that seems like a really simple game to get into. I was like, I think I could get into this. And when I played it, I was not disappointed because it was easy to play. And I like the mechanics. And things I've mentioned this in other videos, I like games where I get special abilities and where I can have a special ability that's different from them. Right? It makes me feel special. And I like that there's a large variety of them. I haven't played with all these abilities yet. I haven't gotten all these cards. Right? It's really limited. It's like if you get there's a lot of games
this
where
card was new for us. We hadn't seen this card before.
it's true.
And
the thing is, even if you do get a bunch of abilities, it's not like a lot. Like if you play a lot of deck builders, you might build your deck the same because you like that strategy worked for me once. I'm going to do it again. Thing is, you don't get that many abilities available to you. A lot of times you'll use an ability once or twice, and then you'll end up covering it with another card. Whether it's better or not, it might be the best thing for you to do to win, right? So I find every time we play Space Explorers, I have a more different experience than when I play Splendor. When I play Splendor, the only difference is who wins, right? I feel it's a lot of the same thing. There's some variety on who takes what gem because of what cards you're chasing, but it doesn't have the same variety that Space Explorers offers. So if I had to choose one, definitely Space Explorers. So the majority vote is Space Explorers with Chris at Splendor.
And Melissa. Melissa says Splendor as well.
Yeah, Melissa, you rock. And I also have gems at home, so I will change up to this.
Stop with the gems.
Whole new game.
No, I'm happy about this because I'm actually in the majority this time. Last time I was in the minority. I was the only person that voted unmatched versus Funko.
Yes.
but I'm sticking to my vote. I'm sticking to it. So I like this. But either way, you know what? Either way, you can't
Either
go
way.
wrong.
Oh yeah.
Either way,
They're both good games.
they're both good games. But yeah, that's our answer. I think if you had to pick one, on average, it's Space Explorers, except for Chris.
Hey,
And I would
Ryan.
still love to pick it, but like I said, for my group of, if I had to show people, because like, not
I think you look at
Splendor.
for the value of your money.
Space
Space Explorer is the best.
yes.
Like
Hands
it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And
A lot
it's
more game.
It's a lot more gameplay than your
Yeah.
vanilla Splendor.
Yep.
So that is all. Any last minute questions?
Tater Tot wanted to mention
What do you got,
that he
Tater Tot?
voted. He said, they said, I voted unmatched and you made me go and buy everything for it. Even the stuff that's not out yet.
Excellent. I wanna play dinosaurs versus scientists. When that expansion comes out, I like Unmatched. I really enjoyed it. I want to play it more. I think we've played Funko and Unmatched equally, but
Equally,
not
yeah.
with the same group. I
No.
played a lot of Unmatched with me and
Yeah.
Chris, and I played a lot of it with me and Britt.
Yeah.
But Funko, we all played together.
Yep. Yep.
So I played Unmatched more than Funko because
Yeah.
I played it with each of them individually. But yeah, I voted Unmatched, but everybody else voted Funko. But neither of those games were a wrong decision.
No,
Both of those
I
are
agree.
great. Both of these are great decisions. Like
Mhm.
Splendor won an award, right? It was like the Spiel des Jahres or Spiel de. I don't speak German. So one of the Spiels. It won one of those awards, and I'd say it's worth it. Do I think Space Explorers should win it? No. Why? Because Splendor did it first, right? Like I think one of the reasons, and not to like you gotta give Splendor the credit where it is. And I'm not bashing Space Explorer guys or 25th Century Games for like copying Splendor. That's not the thing. Like, yeah, there's a lot of similar mechanics, but if you look at video games, like every shooter has the basic mechanics of Doom. It's what you add to it, right? You build on other people's ideas. Whoever came up with the initial idea for Splendor, and maybe Splendor's based on another game that I'm missing out on. I just can't remember.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with that, they're the genius, right? And then all of us, like the majority of us are just standing on the shoulders of people who are smarter than us, right? We're standing on the shoulder of geniuses. We're building on other people's ideas. But that's how we advance. Space Explorers is an advancement to Splendor. But Splendor already got the award. Space Explorers is pretty much the same game. So I don't think you should get it. I think the award should go to something that's offers something actually unique and new.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you guys disagree?
Mm.
So yeah, it's a great game. It's both of them. Both of them are great games.
I love the way they advanced. I love the way they went to that different levels, and they've definitely made an interesting challenge to the game of taking something so, I don't want to say basic. It's not basic. It's just very easy to learn, easy to roll with, and they've just really added some nice twists and made it so easy to learn as you play. Like the reference cards, just loved it. Very easy to pick up on that.
Yeah. So
That's it.
That is all.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Keep gaming. Hold on. I can't remember our own
Have
tagline.
fun.
Have fun, keep
Keep
gaming.
gaming. Be social.
Be social.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Now while I log off, these two will keep you busy. Go.
It's so much pressure.
So much pressure. Go.
Let's talk about Mark now that he's busy. That guy.
Mark, you're going down.
Go down. Yeah, we're playing next to kick his butt in.
I want to play